Hello and welcome to Insanity XD. I am your sweet sounding host speaking. Remember, if you do not hear me, then it is simply not official. Alright, so you've decided to start reading manga, right? You probably already have a series in your mind you want to pick up, likely Demon Slayer or Attack on Titan, given their current foothold in pop culture. But in case you don't, and you're looking for the best manga you can pick up to make the best impression, don't worry, I've got you. I'm here. I actually made the switch to manga over anime 2 years ago for various reasons. I find manga to be a lot easier to enjoy. You can read it at your own pace. It's easier to go back and find information you think you've missed. You ever pause an anime and being like, "Oh my god, like these animators are not getting paid. What's going on with this frame?" Like, trust me, you won't have this issue with manga. Seriously, I've never seen a page where I thought, "Oh my god, this guy can't draw." It's mainly down to the fact that with a manga, the author has to be very careful, illustrating every detail to convey meaning. Whereas in an anime, it's more so a combination of very simplistic frames to make a very beautiful, detailed moving image. And the final reason I made the switch is because there is no filler in manga. Everything you read is canon. You ever watched Naruto? Naruto and Naruto Shippuden have 720 episodes. Out of that, 295 are filler. That is 41%. If you got a wheel and you spun it, you're likely to land on a filler episode. And filler is literally just fan fiction made by the studio themselves. Let me give you an example. I was on a plane once, right? And I downloaded some Naruto to watch. It was a 9 hour flight to Florida. And I downloaded one filler episode. I actually had a list of episodes which were filler and episodes which were not filler. And I actually decided, you know what, I will download one filler episode just to see what it's about, right? It was the filler where Naruto, Sasuke, and I almost forgot her name, Sakura. They basically try to find out what's under Kakashi's mask, and the whole music, the animation, the story, the pacing, you could just tell it was not made by the author. Some filler works, like that episode I talked about was actually generally enjoyable, but mainly it just takes away the fun from like the overall experience and the flow. It's really it's just a lot of the filler is just poor. Like you could get a dog to make filler episodes, honestly. But anyway, let's start off with the recommendations. Starting off strong, One Punch Man. This is my all-time favorite manga, and actually the first ever manga I read. I actually picked this up when I was in France. I can't read in French, obviously, but I just saw the art and I was like, man, I want to read this in English when I get back. The series currently has 162 chapters available online and 118 available in the print form, which means the physical form, so the individual tonkobons, I was gonna say Vizbigs as well, but One Punch Man doesn't have Vizbigs, so the appeal mainly comes from the story as well as the art. Honestly, this art is the best I've ever seen in a show in the manga. This will have you thinking you're watching the anime at times. On God, the story is. I'll be honest, the story is a bit simple, but there is enough lore to sort of keep you hooked. I won't spoil it too much, but there's this whole aspect with the God character, and there's also some little bits and pieces that we'll have to put together. The characters are wacky, downright insane at times. You have your typical shonen personalities like Garo, he's the smoke demon, he's out for blood, he wants to get stronger, he's fighting, blah blah blah. He's run the gauntlet like 5 times against very powerful dragon level threats. In case you don't know, like the power scaling for One Punch Man, it's like wolf, tiger, demon, dragon, god. So a lot of high level opponents he's fighting, and then you have Saitama, who is the most unconventional anime character I think I've ever seen. The guy is literally like a bowl of plain rice, like seriously. But his strength is I think it like broke the internet or something like the first time. But honestly, like there are a lot of varied characters in this series. I'm going to recommend with One Punch Man that you actually watch the anime first. Watch season one first, and then switch to the manga once season two starts. This is because Madhouse, the gods which made One Punch Man, they also made Hunter x Hunter, which we'll get into in a completely different video because that deserves video on its own. They decided to drop One Punch Man after the first seasons for reasons which were never clarified. I assume it was down to the slow release schedule of the manga. It's biannual, so it comes out once every 2 weeks. But once they left, it was picked up by TV Tokyo, and the drop in animation was just very disheartening. It wasn't as bad as Seven Deadly Sins. That's just murder. Like that should be considered a crime. What happened to Seven Deadly Sins, in my opinion. But I recommend watching season one first, One Punch Man. Season one covers volumes 1 to 7. Season 2 covers volumes 8 to 17 and a half. So once you finish season 1, I highly recommend picking up the volume 8 and then just reading onwards from that. The appeal of One Punch Man for me is, the art is gorgeous, the characters are simplistic yet realistic, and of course there is a slightly goofy story which is still battle heavy focused. Seeing Saitama one-shot people, seeing Genos and other secondary characters fight their hearts out, and of course the bonus chapters are simply hilarious. This series is ideal for beginners in my opinion. The only downside is, like I've said, it's biannual, so if you have a bit of patience, this won't be an issue. But if you're like me and you like to binge things in one go, then you might be in for a rough ride. Vagabond, my second recommendation. This has the best art I have ever seen in Tank Band. Seriously, this series has 322 chapters available online and in print. It's key to note that I don't think Vagabond will ever be finished. We haven't seen a new chapter since 2014, and the author is currently on a hiatus. In 2010 and years previous to that, he took a couple of hiatuses due to health reasons, but he specifically specified that he's lost interest and he's just flat out taking a long break. Fun fact, I got my first volume of Vagabond in 2016, and they haven't made a chapter since. But what does that tell you? The appeal comes from its complex transcendent art. Honestly, I mean, honestly, some of the art in Vagabond deserves to be in a museum. I know that sounds cringe, but just look. Look at these. It's amazing. The story follows the legendary Miyamoto Musashi. He's a Japanese swordsman and author of the Book of Five Rings, and it sort of follows him when he's 17 all the way up to when he's on a farm working the land. Keep in mind, Vagabond isn't 100% historically accurate, but it has a lot of grounding in history. Some of the best characters are his rival, I'm going to butcher his name, I'm so sorry, the deaf mute Sasaki Koijiro, and Masashi's bumbling best friend Hoiden Matahashi, who rides his coattails as he's basically searching for his lost love slash fiance Otsu, and Otsu is searching for Masashi, so yeah, that's a bit yeah. But I recommend picking up Vagabond if you're looking for a historical series with a bit of charm and very drippy fights. Honestly, like the fights in Vagabond are very realistic. You're gonna see a lot of blood, a lot of body parts, but it's not like gory. It's more like flashy in a way. But honestly, pick this up if you're looking for a very good grounded read. Now, Berserk, my third recommendation. This manga has solidified itself as the GOAT of Dark Horse manga. Honestly, there's 364 chapters available, 357 in print, and 364 chapters available online and 357 in print. The manga hit the ground running in 1990, and it hasn't stopped since. Seriously, the art is second only to Vagabond. The story is painfully realistic of what it means to be born into a cruel world. It literally starts off with Guts being born, like, he falls out of his dead mother's body into mud, and then he's found by, like, his adopted father. So, if that doesn't set things up perfectly, I don't know what else will. The characters are some of the most charming and unique you will ever find in the Golden Age arc. Don't get too attached, though. Like, you'll see why. And honestly, when you see Guts yell out in rage and slice through monsters like butter, it's something else entirely. They could have made the entire story of Berserk just about Guts chopping through people, and I honestly would have read it all the same. Unfortunately, it's key to note that the author suffered an acute aortic dissection last May, meaning the manga will never see an end. But I don't think this should deter you, as I promise that if you pick up and read Berserk, it will be uniquely dark and twisted. It will draw out sympathy for the main character and hatred for those who have wronged him. Trust me when I say it's worth investing in. The only disclaimer I have for Berserk is that you can't read it around family. If your grandma and grandpa are coming over, you better just go up to your room and read this, alright? There are some X-rated scenes. Dragon Ball, my fourth recommendation. Dragon Ball is the OG of shonen manga. It's literally the father of anime, and it's the inspiration for many. The series has 519 chapters available in print and online, and the appeal of this manga comes from, in my opinion, its groundbreaking and monumental story. Like, before Dragon Ball, there was just adventure genre manga, I think. There wasn't really battle manga. Although you have to keep in mind that volumes 1 to 16 of Dragon Ball are very adventure focused on Goku and Bulma searching for the Dragon Balls, and it's 17 to 42 in which we really see Toriyama pick up the battle manga like genre and like go wild with it. Honestly, it's like picking up a classical book like Old Yeller and seeing the influence it had on other books related to that. I'm very sorry, I don't know what's related to Old Yeller. The art is very simplistic, yet lifelike. It's all hand drawn. It was made before a lot of digital influence could be put onto manga. I'm not even sure how manga really is produced, but I know that some of it is digital, some of it is hand drawn. But compared to this series, Dragon Ball, it's all hand drawn. The story in Dragon Ball 17 to 42 mainly focuses on Goku and Vegeta having fights with somewhat strange villains. Vegeta actually starts off as a villain and he then becomes somewhat of an anti-hero, then he just becomes a friend. And a lot of people say Dragon Ball is overrated. Um, but to me, that's only because they don't really realize like what it did for the series as a whole. Honestly, pick it up if you're looking for a classical adventure and one which really, really shows you how far manga has come since 19. When was it made? 1990. Yeah. Okay, and finally, One Piece. You know what One Piece is. You definitely know what One Piece is. But this manga currently sits atop the throne of the shonen world. Honestly, like, uh, oh sorry, I lost my like. I thought it was like 130 for a second, but it's like 110. Anyway, for good reason. One Piece is a story of friendship and the importance of freedom, and of course, finding the One Piece. Although you're pretty much going to forget they're even looking for the One Piece once you get past like chapter chapter 500. I don't know. I haven't fully caught up with One Piece. I get the box sets, and I've only got up to volume 70. There's like 96 volumes. Sorry, there's 95 volumes out there, so I'm like a bit behind. But let me tell you, this series has some of the most varied characters and the most varied worlds I have ever seen. They cover all the food groups here. You got deserts, you got forest, you got Antarctic, you got jungle, you have pretty much everything. You even have Thriller Bark, which is like this castle, like horror-esque type setting, which is also a ship, and it's pretty amazing to read. Like the creativity is out of this world for One Piece, honestly. The crew of the Going Merry slash Thousand Sunny, they're just traveling across the Grand Line, like looking for the One Piece. I will note that Luffy as a main character is rather simple, but it's his determination to become the Pirate King and his love for his crew which makes him stand out, like as an MC. Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Nico, Robin, Frankie, and Brooke are honestly so unique they could all be MCs in their own world. The villains are just as interesting as the heroes, like Doflamingo and Big Mom. Fun fact, Big Mom and me almost have the same birthday. I'm just one day off. You can understand why the villains do what they do. Like, you can understand why Senor Pink started working for Doflamingo. You can understand why Doflamingo started doing what he did. I actually haven't. What arc is Doflamingo? I think it's the. Oh my gosh, that is actually terrible. I don't know what the arc is called. Someone comment down below, like berate me for it. I'm very sorry for that. But honestly, pick this series up if you are looking for a bandwagon to hop on. I don't mean that in a rude way, but there is a huge, huge following for One Piece. Like Reddit, Discord, you name it, it's got it. It's a charming story which is going to leave you thinking you can go for Gear Fourth. And trust me, you can go Gear Fourth if you try. But um, I just highly, 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 highly recommend all of these if you're looking for a, just a good general grounding in manga and what it is. I hope this has been useful. Feel free to comment below any content you wish to see, any opinions you wish to be heard, any complaints you wish to be known, and I'll get back to you. I've been your host, and it's been an honor to speak to you today.